Hello, good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us. You're watching Galaxy today, coming to you from Galaxy Television. I am Justin Academy.
And I'm Uche Onyekoloje. Of course, it's the 2nd of July, a new month, and we're wishing you all the best this month. In regards to what happened in Lagos last Thursday, we'll do a continuous discussion of what happened. And so today we'll be looking at safety tips during disaster.
Yes, it is no longer news that about 9 people reportedly lost their lives and 54 cars burned in the Lagos tanker fire incident. We'll be doing a post-mortem analysis, and of course I'll be giving you tips as regards safety during emergency. We'll just start straight up here in Lagos. We have a safety expert and HSE manager with the Ikeja electricity distribution company joining us in the person of engineer Jamiu Badmos. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Nice coming here to you.
All right, so I'd like us to look at safety as a word now. I mean, a couple of us know what safety is, but let's start with that. When we say safety, what exactly are we talking about?
Now, when we say safety, the basic simple meaning is freedom from danger.
Okay.
What will make us to go to work, what will make us to walk on the road, what will make us to be at home and be safe without having any injury. That's just the simple meaning of what safety is all about.
Okay, let's look back at what happened in Lagos Ibadan Expressway last Thursday. Precisely, we were told that 9 lives were lost in the course of this. Okay, this is a disaster that was unplanned for, unprepared for. And in a situation where you find yourself as a victim, what should you actually do in a case like that, saying that it's something beyond your control?
Now, if you look at that incident very well, what you will conclude, a very simple summary for your conclusion is most Nigerians, we are reactive to safety. Yes. It is when there is a problem that we quickly move and start doing as if we are working. Well, we can do a lot to prevent such problem from happening. The most important thing I always look at when that accident happens is values for life is what is not we don't have. If we appreciate values for these lives, such incidents will not even have happened.
How do you mean if you appreciate value? Okay, right now, is it on the part of government or on the part of infrastructure that was supposed to put in place? Looking at how that bridge is and looking at the access, what would you think, in your opinion, would have been the best practice to have been involved to avert incidents like what happened on Thursday?
That's a very good question. As an health and safety professional, based on our profession, we don't apportion blame, but each person has his own role to play. We get the facts and we give each person his own role. If you recall, an accident similar to this happened in Festac. Similar to this, the truck was going back, poured the fuel, there was fire again. In Festac, if that incident in Festac has been investigated very well by professionals, and you get to the root cause and you bring out what we forestall future occurrence, recommended action plans, I don't believe that accident that happened on that Thursday will happen again. So what we lack is our investigation methodology, and who investigates matters a lot. Because when you investigate an incident, the reason for investigation is to get root cause. If there's an incident of such magnitude in Festac, and those who investigated it are not professional, automatically they will just talk at the surface level instead of talking at the root cause level, which professional is going to look at. Now come back to that incident that happened on that Thursday. The vehicle was going back. You saw the motorboy, they are trying to stop the vehicle. Such a vehicle is not supposed to be on the road. That's the first instance. And the vehicle, if you stop that vehicle on the road, you check the vehicle roadworthiness. It has roadworthiness.
And speaking of roadworthiness, from what we hear now, the Lagos State government has given drivers of tankers or owners of tankers about 30 days now to look at that and make sure they have roadworthiness. Who ensures that these vehicles are worthy to be on the road? Because it's not just about moving their content from one destination to the other. Lives are actually, are coming to play in all of this, because there's a driver, there are other people in the vehicle, and of course the other road users behind them. How do we ensure that vehicles that are not safe are not on the roads?
Yeah, as professionals, we saw the report of the Lagos State government, preliminary report. Yes, for the first time so far, there's a preliminary report at least. But in the recommendations, like having MOT, having centers, the question is this: did you have this before? What were they doing? Did they even inspect those vehicles? Those are the questions you ask yourself. Most of us, when we get our vehicles, we pay, and they give us a roadworthiness certificate without going to test the vehicles. If Lagos State government is saying now they will start to test, then the question is there trust between Lagos State government, the professionals, and the people? Is it going to be another IGR for Lagos State government? Because if you turn safety to a place of making more money, then there will be more problem in safety. But if safety is taken passionately for what it is, will prevent more accidents. So in my own humble opinion, if Lagos State government is saying we have MOT centers, I would be sure that this is carried out. What is the controls? What is the process in place? What is their policy direction that this is done? Can we start thinking of bringing independent verifier? That if you bring independent verifier, not those close to government, but professionals who are into this particular area of opportunities, bring them on board to start certifying vehicles. I think we start taking outside the box. We can be able to solve this type of problems of roadworthiness of vehicle. Bearing in mind that the vehicles will leave the organization where it comes from. If you recall, sometimes during the time of President Umaru Yar'Adua, the Federal Road Safety Corps have what we call RTSSS, Road Traffic Road Safety Transition Scheme. RTSSS, they have it. That each company must have a safety department, and they monitor all their trucks, put in place a restructure using technological, using all approaches, process in place. Are they still working? You will have them as paper, but when it's time for them to be implemented, it will not be implemented. It will turn to something else, money-making ventures.
Okay, so aside of we talking about the roadworthiness of a particular vehicle, how about let's look at the manpower now, those who actually drive this vehicle and our road map. Now, I thought that during the last Lagos State Governor's regime, he did give a time, like a time limit, like a time range for these trucks to move. So if we're still talking about safety, is it not something we should look at?
Yeah, it's a point, but it's not to address the root cause. If we give them timelines to move, so they can move at a particular time to cause accident at that time.
Because maybe a school of thought will believe that at that particular time, the extent of the damage might not
be
reduced.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe if this was done, I mean, it happened at about 5:30 p.m. It was quite sunny when this happened, which was rush hour. I mean, if that happened at about 10, 11 p.m., not like there won't be damage, but maybe the fire outbreak wouldn't have been this much.
It is a good risk control measure, but the most important thing is, what's the root of this problem? If you attack from the root, then you kill the surface and everything.
But from reports we hear, it was a
brake failure,
more like a mechanical malfunction, which happened. I don't know if it was an oversight of the driver. They weren't aware of it before they headed the road. But in this case now, it was a brake malfunction, a brake failure. I mean, how could we have averted this, before? And how could we have ensured that the collateral damage is in so much? 54 vehicles were burnt, 9 people lost their lives. Some people are still in the hospital. Some people say they cannot even talk. So just how do we avert this? Really?
The company that owns that vehicle, if you notice very well, these accidents from trucks, from articulated vehicles is not now. And whenever they happen, everything will die down and that's the end. The owner of the companies, where are they? Is there any sanctions for the company? If you go back to all these companies, they may likely have health and safety manager. It's possible. The manager may not have a lot of strength to talk. It's possible. And if you have a lot of strength to talk, they will say it's operational issue. Let us move out very fast. Because for every vehicle you have, there should be a preventive maintenance plan for your vehicles. And for a vehicle to leave a station, there should be a journey management plan where you have a particular checklist to check every part of the vehicle and be sure that the vehicle and the driver, they are good to go. All these ones, if they are there, we go to those companies, we see them there in paper. But are they being implemented? Some companies don't do that.
I just hold that thought. We're getting signals. We have to reach out to Ibadan. We have joining us this morning, Director of the Oyo State Fire Service, Moshood Adewoye. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today. We're looking at safety tips during disaster. Specifically, now let's talk about what happened on Thursday in Lagos State. And it was an explosion. What better way could anybody around that area secure himself?
one, sir. Yeah, bank at.
All right. Did you get the question, Director? The question is, how would you advise people along that axis? You know, we're just given a case scenario of what happened on Thursday in Lagos. It was an explosion. It was a fire explosion. You know, fuel and all of that. How could have one secured or make sure that he's secured in a situation like that? What is the best way to secure oneself?
Now, looking at what happened on Thursday, on Thursday, we observed that there was a traffic congestion on the highway, and along you look at it as if, you know, it was during the close of office for the day, and we have traffic congestion. And once there is a brake failure like that, according to a report, I observed, I noticed that these people were already on the traffic flow, and one of them said as soon as they noticed that the petrol tanker has a failure, a brake failure, he quickly parked his vehicle and run away. And at that particular point, everybody was alerted to vacate their vehicle and run for their own life. But unfortunately, some of them, we don't know what actually happened. You know, a situation like this, when incident of this situation occur, the best option is to run for your own dear life and abandon your equipment or any property you have. So I believe for those who did that, it's a plus to them. And you will see that with the number of vehicles that got burned, the casualty will have increased more than that. If not that some of the owners of this vehicle and the passengers abandon the vehicle and run for their life. Because the content is a flammable item. And you can see that as soon as there's an explosion, it covers and envelope every aspect of that environment. So this is what I observed.
One who's driving now, you're expected to have some safety tips in the car. I mean, in a situation like this, I mean, everybody is expected to have probably a fire extinguisher or just one thing or the other to help you. But where does this play? I mean, in a situation where you all have your fire extinguisher in the car, and probably the truck that was with the fuel was supposed to have some kind of safety measures in cases like this. I'm wondering why the first aid wasn't applied, why he had to run, and why people had to run for their dear lives. Are we saying that in a situation like this, first aid is not needed, or there is really no first aid to administer in a situation like this?
Thank you. The situation like this doesn't attract using of extinguisher at all, because you will see that the situation is above using of portable fire extinguishers. The first aid firefighting extinguishers are only meant for household fire incidents that were very minute. If you look at the degree of this situation, is more than using portable extinguisher or having portable fire extinguisher in your vehicle. A situation like this calls for attention of fire service, because the conflagration of the fire is above using of portable fire extinguisher. And you will notice that once there is problem, the petrol tanker is fully loaded with 33,000 liters of PMS. And the content has spilled all over. And the spillage has covered a very wide range, whereby using of portable fire extinguishers is not appropriate. So portable fire extinguisher is not needful at this material time.
this. That road, it's a road that connects Lagos to other parts of the country, specifically, firstly, Ibadan and Ibafo and all that access, but looking at how that road is, in your opinion, do you think it actually creates an avenue where emergencies can be managed, looking at how that road is and all the bottlenecks and everything that's around there? I mean, what I'm asking specifically is that there was a fire, everyone was trapped. How would you say the response was, getting to maneuver through the tight roads and every other thing? Could it have been managed in a better way if the roads maybe were wider or something?
Well, thank you very much. Now, with the situation, with the condition of our road networks in Nigeria, if you look at what happened, it also affects the prompt response of fire service. If you should, you see, I watched a documentary from either England or America. There was a sophisticated firefighting equipment now that was provided to pass through the public roads. And at the same time, there was a track, a lane, already created as an emergency lane, whereby between the vehicles going on their normal track, there is a special place already marked for emergency situation. You will see that in Nigeria roads, no any special dedication of lane for emergency response. So I will only appeal that our government should look it through this angle, that there should be a special dedicated lane for emergency vehicles in the country. As also, you will see that we have special appliances in the developed countries now with technological advancement. In Nigeria, we don't have all these items. And all these things helps in this type of situation. So, thank you.
I'll let you go. I just want you to also look at this angle. If you're asking for a special lane for cases like this, and then what happens to the case of, I thought we used to have some kind of healthcare mobile unit that moves around for cases like this in case of emergencies, or what else do you think fire service can do to avert such cases, knowing that Nigerians are more reactive than being proactive? You did say that the fire service, the prominence of the fire service wasn't good enough. So at your end, what do you think the fire service needs to do to avert such explosion, even when it happens, so it doesn't go beyond doesn't go beyond or escalate beyond what it should be? What do you think fire service needs to do outside of the lane and they're probably having a mobile healthcare unit? And then what else do you think the fire service unit can do as well?
Well, thank you very much. Now, talking about mobile unit for fire service, it is also necessary. It is necessary because the mobile unit, they are fast emergency responders that will have been even get to the scene of incident before a big truck arrives the scene of incident. Then looking at emergency tracks we made mention earlier, you will see that when we talk about emergency track lane, it's not limited to fire service alone, even including ambulance units and other emergency responders, so that this will fast track their immediate response to in any situation that occurs of this nature. Then secondly, looking at the situation, you will see that the fire service, not that the fire service doesn't have the skill or doesn't have the experience, but we are being devastated with the provision of equipments. The equipments we are using, majority of them doesn't align with the developed countries' equipment. Because if we have been watching documentaries and how firemen some areas, we lack some certain technologies, modern equipments, which I believe with the present situation on ground, the government can come into our aid in providing all these types of items. Then on the highway, like you've said, yes, sir.
So we can just round off with two.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question I want
right,
to,
sir.
you talked about equipment, you talked about manpower, you talked about skills. I really want to find out, in a situation like that, don't you think that if the fire service had more like an aerial control unit or something, if they could have fought the fire from the aerial location, I don't know, don't you think it would have made a bit of a difference to curb the issue of trying to swerve through emergency traffics in Lagos and all the bottlenecks? How would you say your equipment, you just complain that you don't have much, but does the fire service have aerial units?
Can I go ahead? Yes. When you talk about area units, you know, fire stations were established in specific locations with the station grounds, covered areas. Now the issue is the area platform you are talking of. The area platform works also. We have also mobilized it from the road. It runs on the road too. We don't because we are not using air firefighting equipment. That's the reason why I said
The fire service, both in Lagos or your state, nationally, do they have like choppers or helicopters they use to combat fire?
don't have.
And do you think that if you had that, it would actually help sort out some of those fire-related issues that we have across the country?
Thank you. Like you've asked, we don't have helicopter firefighting equipment. We don't have air firefighting items. Suppose we have that, we also assist, but it will assist and it will fast track our response. But I don't believe Lagos State 2 doesn't have, likewise or your state, we don't have.
Thank you for joining us on Galaxy today to share your thoughts as regards what to do during emergencies, specifically emergencies related to fire. We've been speaking to Moshood Adewe, Director of your State Fire Service. Thanks for being a part of Galaxy today. We will take a quick break. When we return, we'll be joining our guests here in Lagos and still from Abuja in a moment to join us again.
Not for the first time, Lagos residents are facing a disaster of this magnitude. The fire may have since been extinguished, but it might take a while to recover from the effects. Arriving at the scene Friday morning, it was a much calmer atmosphere, but passers-by and residents were seen in clusters still counting the losses as relics of burnt vehicles were still being evacuated by relevant agencies. Some of the onlookers here reiterate their stance on regulations of the movement of heavy goods vehicles. They also have words of advice for drivers of these vehicles.
Here in this Ododala bridge, it has been happening here almost every year. There's always national tragedy always happens to this place because laws are not obeyed. They say they are told trucks should be moving in the night, but they are not obeying.
Maybe loss of brake or whatever that happens. And you know, when the accident occurs, it takes a lot of life, school bus and everything. You know, by that time people are going back to their houses.
The views of some of the respondents seem to be justified with the breaking down of this tanker few minutes later. Thankfully, no explosion this time. As evacuation work continued, sections of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway were temporarily shut, leading to the build-up of traffic. I caught up with the General Manager of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, Olawale Musa, and he assured that efforts were being made to ameliorate the situation. However, few minutes away, we suddenly had another case in our hands.